All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story that starts with just two people in a room, but it ends in absolute devastation. It's this really tense dialogue about love, jealousy, and a single choice that changes absolutely everything.
So the whole thing kicks off with this chilling promise from a man to a woman. And let's be super clear, this is not some romantic vow. It's a threat. This one line immediately sets this tone of just suffocating suspense. It tells you right away that some kind of unavoidable confrontation is coming.
Okay, so let's jump right into part one, the tense confrontation. We're going to look at the core disagreement that just ignites this entire scene.
So the first thing we hear is from the woman, and right out of the gate, it's a firm denial. She's trying to wash her hands of any blame for whatever happened, something that's clearly haunting both of them. You can feel she's on the defensive from the very first word.
Yeah, but the man, he just shuts that down. Immediately. His response is so cold, so final. It's like he's saying a verdict has already been passed, whether in a court of law or just in his own head. For him, this isn't a debate. It's over.
And then, wow, the man reveals just how high the stakes are for this fault. This isn't some simple disagreement. We find out their home is destroyed, and even more tragically, he's the one who has to explain the loss of a loved one to his own daughter. The personal cost here is it's unbelievable.
All right, so on to part two, the accident's truth. The big question is what actually happened, because we're about to get two very different stories about the same fatal event.
And here's where their conflicting realities are just laid bare. On one side, you have her story. It was a tragic, unavoidable accident, just a moment of distraction. But on the other side, you have his accusation that she made a conscious, deliberate choice not to hit the brakes. Then the man takes his accusation even further, and honestly, this is a huge turning point. He's saying it wasn't just the collision itself, but what she did, or rather what she didn't do afterward. He's convinced that her failure to get help is what sealed the victim's fate. It turned a potential tragedy into a definite one. And that just leaves this one heavy question hanging in the air, right? If it was just a simple accident, why would she flee the scene? It just doesn't add up. It really suggests there's a much deeper, much darker motive here.
Okay, part three. This is it, the shocking confession. This is the moment in the entire conversation where the whole facade just crumbles and the devastating truth finally comes out.
And you just feel the man's raw anger laid completely bare. He actually admits that his only reason for being there, his only goal, was to hear the truth from her own lips. His grief has pushed him right to the edge, but he needs that confession first.
So what does she do? In this last-ditch effort, she tries to appeal to their shared history. She claims that she and the victim were actually close friends, basically trying to say, how could I ever have malicious intent? But you can tell, it's way too little, way too late.
And then it happens. The confession. The truth finally spills out. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't negligence. It was a cold, calculated act. And it was born from her jealousy over the very man she's talking to. She chose to eliminate her friend.
So let's just be absolutely clear about what this means. Her entire story was a lie. This was not a mistake. It wasn't some moment of distraction. It was a conscious choice. Every single action she took was driven by these obsessive feelings for the man, and it led her to murder her perceived rival.
So now we get to part four, the fire of regret. With the truth that horrifying out in the open, what's left? All that remains is the emotional fallout. This heavy, suffocating weight of regret. But after that confession, the word just feels hollow, doesn't it? It really forces you to ask, is this some deep, soul-crushing repentance for the life she took? Or is it something much shallower, the self-serving regret of just getting caught? And believe me, the difference is everything. This is just such a powerful example of how a few lines of dialogue can build an entire world of pain. There's no neat resolution here, no happy ending. Both of them are now just trapped in the aftermath of her choice. There's no clear path forward. There are only consequences. And that leaves us with a really difficult question, doesn't it? What is the cost of a single choice? A single choice destroyed 3 lives here. And the regret she claims to feel, well, that's only the beginning of the punishment. Is there any end to this kind of regret? Can forgiveness ever follow an act born from such darkness?